Hello and welcome back to another episode of the White Sox Franchise. And this is going to be a lot more of a laid-back episode. Last episode, we finished our season. We ended it on a win at least, 4-3 over the Nationals in the season finale. So for today, all I want to do is I want to kind of recap the season. I want to go through some of our players' stats, progression, some minor league guys, some plans for next season, and then also sim through the postseason, see who wins the World Series, who wins awards, stuff like that. So let's start here by actually finalizing this last day of the season here, and there we go. 58 and 104 is the official final record. I mean, it already was, but there it is telling me it. And what that means for us is 58 wins officially is an improvement of 17 wins on the 41 win 2024 season. So those 17 extra wins gives us $17 extra million we can offer in a total value of a contract. So remember, that was what we came up with all the way back on episode 1. For every win we improve past those 41 wins from last year's team, we get $1 million extra we can offer. And that's on top of $75 million, because $75 million is the largest contract still in White Sox history. So take that $75 million, add the $17 million we earned from improving 17 wins. The largest contract we can offer in this offseason is $92 million total. That won't come into play until next episode because I don't plan on doing the offseason until then. But yeah, that's where this one ends. Not quite the improvement that I would have liked to see, not quite the improvement the real life White Sox made, but through the first couple months of the season, it really looked like it was on pace to end up a lot worse than this. So all things considered, we'll take it. But while we're already on the standings screen, let's go through and let's see how the standings finished. First of all, I mean, we're staring right at it. 3 teams from our division made the playoffs. The Twins with 103 wins win the division. They almost had the exact inverse of what our record was. Cleveland also gets a wild card spot, and so do the Royals with 87 wins. And then the drop off, us and the Tigers both at 58 and 104, the 2 worst teams in baseball. Over in the East, the Orioles won the division with the only winning record in the division. The AL East, really? I mean, I don't know for sure now. I'm gonna check, but this might be in real life the only team that didn't finish over 500. Okay, never mind. The Rays were worse than I thought. But this leaderboard of the AL East is the exact opposite of how it ended up in real life. All right, going over to the West now. The Mariners win with a 90 and 72 record, and we had a losing team make the playoffs. 80 and 82 was good enough for that 3rd wild card spot. That is crazy. I wonder if we'll ever see that. So then the final wild card standings here, it's Cleveland, it's the Royals, it's the Rangers. Couple teams finished only a game out. This was a close race to the end. I mean, it's crazy how many teams below a 500 record were right there. All right, over to the NL. The Phillies win the East with 99 wins. Braves and Nationals. The Nationals did okay. I feel like I remember looking at this or checking up on them right before our series with the Nationals because I realized they were doing better than I thought they'd be. And I didn't think I remembered them being in it. Maybe I just didn't check the wild card, but they finished a game above the Mets to take that wild card spot. Marlins with 100 losses, so there's 300 lost teams so far. Actually, I haven't really paid full attention. Yeah, we were the only 2 in the AL. Now you got the Marlins. We still haven't had a second 100-win team yet. See if we get that in the Central. Nope, the Reds finish 93 and 69. The Cubs also make the playoffs. Pirates finish over 500, and the interesting thing there is Paul Skeens missed most of the season. I haven't had a reason to highlight that, but I saw it way back. He was out for the year with a head fracture. All right, then finally the West, the Dodgers, yep, they would be the second 100-win team. 102 and 60 wins the division. You got 2 more teams above a 500 that didn't make the postseason. So that's, what, 3 teams? 4 teams? 4 teams finished over a 500 record in the National League that didn't make the playoffs, but in the American League, you had a team that finished under 500 make the playoffs. So then final wild card standings here, you got the Braves, Cubs, Nationals, Mets, and D-backs finished a game out. Again, another really close race between a couple of teams here right at the end. And actually, look what the Nationals did. They went 8-2 in their last 10 to lock that up, while some of these other teams did not. did not do well. So while we're looking at some league-wide stuff, let's just take a peek at the league leaders here before we get into our team stats. We'll just go real quick through top 5. I mean, I won't read through all the top 5, but we'll just go through the list here. So Judge with the best batting average at 324. I'm not going to look at both leagues for every stat, but I am curious. 321 in the NL. Bobby Witt with 202 hits. He had 2 200 hit guys in the AL. None in the NL. Just skim through some of these. At bats don't really matter. Doubles you don't really keep track of. Triples, Trout still led the league with 11 triples. I'm curious about the NL. I kind of thought we'd see Corbin Carroll here, but no, it's Trey Turner and Acuna with 14. Homers, though, this is the big one. Judge finished with 49. Couldn't quite crack 50. 49 also in the NL. Nobody could crack 50. Devers drove in the most runs at 120. Is that kind of low? That feels a little low. All of these feel a little low for top 5 runs batted in. NL, you got 135. Devers also scored the most runs. So maybe just a lot more runs in the National League because they had more runs batted in and more runs on the league leaders. I mean, it makes sense because the AL had sub 500 teams. Stolen bases, Jacob Young from the Royals. He must have gotten traded there, right? Yeah. So I guess it doesn't separate between the leagues because you'd imagine some of these came with the Nationals. But sure, he leads with 38. NL is Terang and Ellie with 40. Nolan Shanuel with the most walks. Judge with only 75. I would have expected Judge to be over 100 easily, especially since he had the highest batting average but didn't crack 200 hits. I guess I just would have assumed he drew a lot more walks. All right then. NL, there's your over 100 with Schwarber. Judge did lead in on-base percentage and slugging percentage, so of course he leads in OPS. NL OPS leader was Mookie Betts. The Twins have the top 2 wins guys, well, tied for second place, but still, that's kind of a lot. Saves is also the Twins guy, Griffin Jacks. He definitely got me a couple of times. ERA leader was Andrew Heaney for the Rays at a 237 by a lot. That is something you would not expect at all. He didn't even play the whole year with the Rays. I don't know what, I mean, he's in a Pirates jersey. I'm assuming he would have started with the Pirates then. I don't know that for sure. How about the NL then? It was, okay, Skubal. So kind of flip-flop there because Skubal went from the AL to the NL. Heaney looks like he went from the NL to the AL. Strikeout leader was Kevin Gausman with 236. NL, you got Hunter Green at 230. I don't think we've seen a single one of our guys in the top 5 in any category yet, which is fun. We're definitely not going to see that with innings pitched, but 207, that's good to see. I guess I just play a lot of March to October because over the years in March to October, it's like ordinary for pitchers to throw like 240 innings. Joe Ryan with the best whip. Woodruff with an even 1 whip in the NL, and then we go to WAR, which Crochet led in pitching WAR. Skubal led in the NL. Then batting WAR was Judge by not a whole lot, just above Witt, and then Ellie with an 8 wins above replacement. Does this game, I didn't even think of it, does it not have fielding WAR? Does it not have defensive wins above replacement factored in, or is that just factored in here? Maybe that just is part of what batting WAR is. I don't know. All right, so then we should be able to look at awards, right? I mean, we could look at players of the month. I could have been looking at this all throughout the year. I guess they don't have September yet. I mean, we're not going to have anybody as we had rookie of the month. Colson Montgomery won July rookie of the month. And that makes me want to say something that I kind of think I said either last episode or the one before, but the game just needs to make a bigger deal out of things like this. I think it was going for a cycle last episode that I was talking about it, but it applies to this too. This should mean something for progression. Like, obviously with the way the game works right now, with the way progression works, it's not like there's XP or whatever that players earn, but I think that'd be a cool way to do it. And then if somebody wins a monthly award like this, they get 500 XP or whatever it would be. Obviously it would depend on what the system is, but it would mean something. Also, the game should have told me this. Maybe it did and I just didn't notice it, but it should have put something up on the screen like your player won rookie of the month. All right, so then how about the main awards? I'm assuming these are finalized because we're in the postseason now. Yeah, they are. Endeavors won the MVP, which is ironic because he got traded obviously in real life, which I find this very interesting that he won over Judge with a worse average, a couple less homers. He had more runs batted in, but like, who cares about RBIs, you know? I don't know. Maybe the judge fatigue was real in this universe. How about the NL? Marcell Ozuna. Yeah, I still don't think awards are fully functional. AL Cy Young goes to Joe Ryan in the division, beats out Heaney. I wonder how that works. Like, for AL Cy Young, if you spent half the season in the NL, does that factor in? Has that ever happened? Has a Cy Young frontrunner been traded during the season and then end up winning the Cy Young? I don't know. Snell wins it in the NL. That, you see, okay. This is what I mean. Awards are still broken, man. It's 2000, well, this is 2025. And we're still putting that much weight on the win-loss record. Dude had a 420 earned run average, but no, because he went 17-5. Apparently that gets him the Cy Young award. I don't get it. Even these two guys, they probably shouldn't be the two runners up. We were looking at league leaders. There were a couple guys with under a 3 ERA. All right, let's move on though. Batting titles, Judge, we already knew that. Reliever of the year goes to Clase. I find that interesting too. I mean, his ERA is lower. He had less saves, but a lot less strikeouts too than Griffin Jacks. You also could or should make the case for Mason Miller down here, even though he's a decent amount of saves behind. 174 ERA with 89 strikeouts. Rookie of the year goes to Christian Campbell with a 242 batting average. Guess we should look at NL2, and that goes to Dylan Cruz of the Reds. I forgot that that's a trade that happened. Judge wins the Hank Aaron Award, which I find interesting when Devers won the Cy Young, and I would assume Devers, I'm not going to look that in depth, but I would assume Devers spent more time as a DH than Judge did. And then into the Gold Gloves, maybe the only chance we have at seeing one of our players at any point in the league leaders / awards. I mean, I doubt we win one, but maybe we see somebody in the top 3, not for pitcher, not for catcher, not for first base, not for second base, third base, shortstop, left field, center field. We got one. Well, we didn't get one, but third place in the Gold Glove Award voting, Luis Robert Jr. And then right field, nobody. Silver Slugger will be next. We didn't get one for DH, didn't get one for catcher, didn't get one for first base, nobody second base, nobody third base, nobody short, nobody in the outfield. And then obviously we don't know who the postseason awards go to yet, but that wraps up league-wide stuff. Now it's time to talk about our guys. I don't want to go too crazy here, but I do want to go kind of player by player, position by position. The first thing I want to point out is just like, look at the innings pitched numbers. I'm a little disappointed by that. Shane Smith, Sean Burke, they're the only two starters that spent the whole season in the rotation on the big league squad, and Sean Burke leads the team with 146 innings pitched. He's making 33 starts, and he throws 146 innings. What's the math? That is less than 5 innings per start. That's between like 4 1/3 and 4 2/3 innings per start is what he was averaging to put up those numbers. Doesn't even qualify. I mean, not like he's going to be showing up anywhere on the league leaders, but I'm pretty sure you need 1 inning pitch per game played, per team game played, in order to qualify for league leaders. But let's just go down the list here. We'll start with Shane Smith, and I wanted to go in here to look at his progression, but he didn't really have much. I don't think he's really supposed to get any better than he was. I guess, you know what, that is something fair to mention too. Both Shane Smith and Sean Burke, back when I was setting up this franchise, they didn't have the correct stamina. Shane Smith was listed as a reliever with, I think, 12 stamina or 14 or something like that. Sean Burke was a starter, but he only had like 30 stamina, so I had to adjust both of them just so they were usable. But still, 63 stamina for Shane Smith isn't ideal. I'm also disappointed how his season played out. He had an actually solid, maybe like first half to the year. Not like great, not like he was really good, but I think his ERA was like in the low 4s, maybe even made it to the 3s at some points. And then he finishes like this, 7.43 ERA in his last 10. We already kind of, I mean, we touched on Sean Burke a little bit more, but both him and Shane Smith's ERAs ended up looking very similar, whips very similar. Burke just not quite as much a strikeout guy. We'll go to Cannon next, because Cannon was also a disappointment. I was actually, I mean, I'm still hoping for him to be a little bit more of a future guy. I mean, he's got a B potential. He's only 24. He should be able to be a back of the rotation guy, and he should be able to be solid, but not if he puts up numbers like this, 6.87 ERA. I will say it could have been a lot worse. His ERA was up over 8. I think it creeped maybe into the 10s when we brought him back up. Davis Martin, I don't really care. to be totally honest, I don't really care about Davis Martin. He's not going to factor into the future. We weren't competing this year, so I didn't need him to be great, and he wasn't. Jairo Iriarte, though, we can talk about him because he's going to be here next year. Depending on what our offseason looks like, he could be the opening day starter even. Up to a 77 overall, put together a 2.40 ERA in 41 innings in 8 starts. I mean, still, if we're doing the math, 41 innings in 8 starts is barely over 5 innings per start, which, like, he's got 79 stamina. He should be able to go deeper into games. Jared Schuster, we don't really have to talk about. He was just a September call-up. Guess he didn't get into too many games. And then Drew Thorpe is listed here for some reason, but we'll have him back for next year. He's up to a 77 overall. Still had some progression even though he was out rehabbing all year. I'll be honest, I've uttered the words "don't forget about Drew Thorpe" many times over the course of this series so far, which hasn't been all that long, and I feel like every time I forget about Drew Thorpe. So it will be interesting to see what I end up doing for our rotation next year, because the only guy I really feel attached to is Jairo Iriarte, and then just based on his overall right now, Drew Thorpe probably should be in our starting rotation to give him a chance. But then after that, there's really nobody here that I feel like has to be on the squad next year. So we can go to free agency, we can decide if Schultz and Hagen Smith are ready, which I don't know if they will be. How about some relief pitching? And this is a fun one to start out looking at. Mike Vasil finished with 122 innings pitched out of the bullpen. Vasil was really good, man. 3.02 ERA, over a strikeout per inning. Walks weren't crazy. I mean, he definitely has a starter build. And this could also be an option if we're talking about I don't know what the rotation's going to look like. I could just make Mike Vasil a starter and he'd be hopefully fine doing that. I mean, he started 4 games. I don't know what the splits are, but you'd have to imagine he would be pitching like this as a starter. And if he pitches like this as a starter, that would be very good. I want to sort by games pitched next because we had Jordan Leisure throw 84 times. He pitched in over half of our games and he did really well. 3.59 ERA. 87 innings, good progression. He's up to a 72 overall. He'll stay around probably next year. I guess we got to show Cam Boozer some love too, because he wasn't too far behind in terms of ERA or appearances or innings or anything like that. He's a little bit on the older end, but we still got him. I mean, he's under contract. He's under team control. He'll probably be back. Trevor Stephan, though, probably will become my closer. He's probably going to take over for Fraser Ellard because he had a 2.07 ERA. This is who we got for trading away Matt Thaiss. And I think this is, I mean, if he's putting up numbers like this, if he's got a 2.07 ERA out of the back end of the bullpen for the next 3 years at $2.5 million a year for Matt Thaiss, Justin Anderson actually ended up a little bit better than it looked like he was going because he didn't do that great after getting called up. So yeah, I don't know. Someone like him, I don't know where his spot's going to be when it comes to next year's bullpen. We also got Prelander Baroa to not forget about, like Drew Thorpe. He's actually a 73 overall. That would make him one of our higher overall arms. You do have Fraser Ellard, though, who's a 75, who is higher than that. And what a year he had, man. I was not expecting this kind of a season out of Fraser Ellard. He had really good progression, at a C potential. His stamina got better, which you don't ever see. But 27 saves, a 3.07 ERA, which for most of the year was a lot better than that. And this was probably the guy I used the most just because of playing in critical situations. You're going to be using the closer a lot to shut him down, and most of the time he shut him down. I want to look real quick overall at just pitcher wins above replacement. Shane Smith actually had the highest WAR. So, okay, his FIP stayed at 426. So maybe his ERA was just a little overinflated at the end and made things look worse than they actually were. I don't know. It might even be interesting to consider kind of flip-flopping him and Mike Vasil next year, just because Shane Smith's got a little bit lower stamina. I think Vasil's got 12 stamina on him at 75. Maybe Smith would be a better long reliever. Vasil would be a better starter. Trevor Stephan had the second highest wins above replacement though on the team, and then Leisure with the third most. That's the only 3 that are at 1 or higher, which I'm kind of surprised Ellard wasn't too. What were our negative wins above replacement guys? Sean Burke was our worst pitcher by wins above replacement. Let's talk about some offense now. Catcher, 3 catchers that we can talk about, I guess, because Teal isn't on the big league roster, but maybe they just put his stats here because he has some big league stats when we tried him out at the beginning of the year and that didn't go so well. He will be back next season, probably for opening day. we'll have some kind of Teal and Caro platoon, because Teal's getting better against righties, Caro's getting better against lefties. Caro with actually plus 10 power versus lefties at the end. I didn't notice that. But honestly, I thought Caro did better than this. For a long time, he actually had a lot better numbers than this, so I guess he maybe just hit a bit of a snag. Still doesn't look too bad at the end of it, and like I said, his progression was looking really solid. I don't know, we're gonna, I mean, just like real life, how the Caro Teal platoon is like a good thing, but it's also like, okay, who do you play? Because you can only play one catcher. Obviously, the other one can be the DH, but still, it's kind of like, what do you do? Corey Lee also had a pretty solid year. Like, I was not expecting much out of him with those attributes, but once he came back to be our backup catcher, I mean, this is like not bad for a backup catcher. First base, Andrew Vaughn's the only one. He played in 158 games and he was terrible, even though he kind of brought it back around at the end, which I'm almost a little disappointed by, because he was having such an astronomically terrible season. He had like a negative 1.9 wins above replacement at like the All-Star break or before it, and I kind of wanted to see how low that would go, but he turned it around enough to only have negative 0.9. And I don't know, man. I mean, I guess in the end of it, purely by the hitting numbers, it turned out to be kind of a typical Andrew Vaughn White Sox season, because obviously he became a completely different person once he left the White Sox. But these numbers kind of fit right in with what his career numbers were looking like. Maybe just a few less doubles for the slugging percentage to end up below 400. But honestly, with our Samuel Basayo plan of him being our first baseman, I might just non-tender Vaughn. Vaughn technically has one more year of arbitration, but if he made $5.8 million, he's going to be making over $5 million next year, and I just don't feel the need to pay that. Second base, we got a couple of guys here. Lenyn Sosa, I mean, it is kind of interesting when you see some of these players' numbers look similar-ish to what they did in real life. I feel like if Sosa played as many games as he did in real life, the home run number would have been a little bit closer to where it ended up there too. And I don't really know. I don't really know what to feel about Sosa, because like 249 average on this team is solid. A 283 OBP is not, though. I mean, obviously there's no reason to really get rid of him unless there's like a trade that comes up that would make sense, but he's got 81 contact, 70 power against lefties. There is room on this team for that. But then Chase Mydroth is the exciting one, man. I had a feeling he was going to be good. I did not think he would be as good as he was. But in 82 games that he ended up playing, he finished with a 304 average, 825 OPS, 8 home runs, which I wouldn't have expected with where his power numbers are. But yeah, he is going to be a staple. Even if his overall isn't like that great looking at a 74, his skill set is like perfect. Well, that's not totally true, because I would like his fielding to get a little bit better. And we tried to do that, and I don't think it did anything. I wonder if I can actually still go to that screen. I don't think I can. No, but we tried to manually go in. There's that training screen that I think to me now is confirmed to do nothing. But I took it off manual, or took it off auto training for Mydroth and put it specifically on fielding. So his fielding and reaction were supposed to get trained more. And I explained it at the time, but to reiterate, my thought process was his hitting was already as good as I needed it to be. And since he was a C potential, he only had like 6, now only 5 overall points maximum that he could still improve, because the highest you can go as a C potential is a 79. So I was like, okay, let's put all that training into fielding, because I don't really need his hitting to get better, and it might naturally get better if he plays well. So I changed the auto training to fielding, and I don't think it did anything. I mean, if anything, it gave him 1 extra point than the default, because everything is +2. Fielding and reaction are +3. Our only third baseman on the roster is also our only all-star this year. It was Miguel Vargas, which I still don't really know if he deserved it. And at the end here, the numbers don't look great. And yeah, I mean, I just, real life, I love Miguel Vargas. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because when the Sox initially traded for him, he looked just miserable, and he played like it too. And then this year he actually turned into a pretty decent ball player, but just in this game, in this franchise, I just don't see much of a future. I mean, kind of similar to Mydroth, he doesn't have much room left to get better, but that hitting, and specifically the contact and clutch, need to get a lot better for him to do anything. He could maybe be a solid utility guy since he can play around the infield and a little bit of outfield. Then again, we don't really have anyone to replace him. Like, I don't have any third baseman coming up through the system. I could move Colson Montgomery to third, but then I don't know shortstop wise if I really, I mean, looking through a minor league system here, yeah, I don't really have anybody ready to go at shortstop. So if there is a spot to look in the offseason to upgrade, third base might be it, or shortstop to then move Montgomery to third, because let's talk about that now. Montgomery, when we brought him back up, he started looking really good. I mean, his overall numbers still aren't like crazy or anything, 704 OPS, but compared to like him batting 179, I think, through his first 30 or so games, he definitely found something. One thing he didn't find though is fielding ability. I didn't know how good he'd be at short. Obviously 54 fielding isn't great, but like I would just have kind of thought that meant range wise maybe he wouldn't be so good. The arm is still solid, the accuracy's okay, but he made so many errors, 15 errors, and he only played half the season, if even. Or technically over half the season, but still 15 errors. So 30 total errors he would have made in a full season's worth of games. He might be better suited, even though in real life, I think he turned out to be a really good shortstop fielding wise. But for us, he might be better suited if we shifted him over to third. So that could be the plan too. We might look for a shortstop in free agency, because Baldwin's not going to be our shortstop. I'm going to tell you that. He started for a while, and I mean, his numbers are not good overall hitting wise. I do still think he should be a solid utility guy, good in the field. He can play everywhere. I feel like he shouldn't be as bad as he was based on the attributes. Like, he's got at least over 50 everywhere that like really matters. Out to left, Benintendi, man, he came alive near the end, and if he wants to play like this for the rest of his record-setting contract, he'll have a spot. I mean, I'm not trying to say this was like world-beating or anything, but he still hit 23 homers, 30 doubles, 754 OPS, and it felt like he got better once I put him in the field, so maybe that had something to do with it somehow. But I think this is definitely his best of his first 3 years on the Sox. I mean, easily. We don't really have to say too much about Jolks. He was just kind of a fill-in guy. Brought him up, sent him down a couple of times. He didn't really performed too well when he was up. Center field, Luis Robert. Yikes. I mean, he played. He definitely played a full season's worth of games, and he had a 249 on base percentage, 617 OPS. Like, I don't even know. He actually went up 10 in his power against lefties. I would not have thought it was possible for somebody with actually that solid of hitting attributes to put up as bad a numbers as he did. But yeah, man, I mean, 26 walks, 177 strikeouts. He did steal 16 bases and never get caught. That might be like the one bright spot besides his fielding. But I didn't originally have plans to rush to trade him, but then when we traded for Garrett Mitchell and Garrett Mitchell played the way that he did, I might move on from Robert now, because Garrett Mitchell is just as good, if not better, than Luis Robert overall fielding wise in center. He outperformed him at the plate, especially once he came to us. I don't remember exactly what his numbers were before making the trade, but the power especially. He hit so many more home runs than I thought he would. And even though he strikes out maybe even more often than Robert because he had more strikeouts in less games, he at least draws some more walks. I mean, he had a 3.1 wins above replacement at the end. Again, this is for next episode to decide this, if there's a trade that makes sense for Robert. But like, as it stands right now, it really wouldn't make sense to start Luis Robert over Garrett Mitchell, especially against a righty. Like, there might be some sort of platoon thing. It also depends on the offseason we have, who we call up, who we sign. Because yeah, right now on the roster, the only right fielder is Oscar Colas. Again, not really somebody we need to talk about. Just call them up after the trade deadline to fill in a spot. But then to round it out, let's just kind of like we did with the pitching, look at the overall wins above replacement. Garrett Mitchell led the entire team with 3.1 WAR. I don't know how many he would have gotten as a White Sox specifically. It's also still ridiculous that Luis Robert had the second highest WAR with just how bad I was just saying he was. I guess his defense was just that good. Mydraw with a 1.5, Benintendi with a 1.3. Corey Lee was actually our highest WAR catcher over Edgar Caro. But it looks like, based on our scroll thing, we had more negatives than positives. Montgomery went negative, Vargas went negative, so he had a really bad back half. Colas also went pretty negative and not a whole lot of time. Lenine Sosa was negative, Julks negative, Vaughn negative, and then Brooks Baldwin the most negative, negative 1.1. And the last couple of things that I want to point out is just some of our prospect guys, because I'm excited about these guys. This is what makes me want to continue this series even though it's January. Samuel Basallo's up to an 80. I have every intention that he's going to be our starting first baseman opening day next season. I'll probably switch his primary position. That's another thing I wish they had, was some sort of like actual built-in mechanic of switching positions other than just going into edit player and doing it. But he played the whole second half of the season with us in AAA as a first baseman, so I think it would make sense to swap it, still keep catcher as a secondary. Braden Montgomery, he had some really good progression. When we were first looking at the rosters, I wasn't really sure, because Braden Montgomery, even though his overall was I think like a 72, which was solid for a AAA guy, or actually he started in AA, some of his attributes were like, I don't know, man. It might take a lot for him to be usable. That 99 arm strength might be pulling a lot of weight for his right field overall. But +6 and +8 to his contact is huge. +9 to his discipline's also very nice. I mean, it depends on what I want to do in the offseason, but he could be on the big league team to start next season. I won't rule that out. We don't really have anybody big name left. I guess they must, because yeah, Teal isn't even here. So I don't know what they did roster wise to have Teal on our big league squad when we were looking at all that. But yeah, Basallo will be called up. Teal will be called up. Montgomery might. And as far as AAA position players, I don't think there's anybody else that's ready, even though Brian Ramos had some nice progression. He had a nice season. Pitching wise in AAA, I don't really know what I want to do starting next season, because Hagen Smith has gotten himself up to a 78. That would be the highest rated starting pitcher on our roster. But the weird thing about him is he never had the dominant numbers, even in AA. When I called him up to AAA, he didn't have the dominant numbers. And then in AAA, he didn't have the dominant numbers. And then in his postseason start, he got lit up. Noah Schultz, on the other hand, had the dominant numbers. AA, he had like a 2.20 ERA. I think AAA was pretty much the same. It's just his attributes are a little further behind. So that's where I don't know the decisions I want to make, because I think Schultz, attribute-wise, might still need a little bit more time. But Hagen Smith, I feel better about his attributes, but I don't feel as good about his results. So I don't know if I want to call him up yet right away to start next season. And then Taylor's kind of the same deal. Taylor's only 1 overall behind Noah Schultz. He was putting up numbers right alongside Noah Schultz, but his ratings too, I'm a little like, I don't know if he's quite ready yet. Also, a couple of guys we traded for, Logan Evans specifically, he had a lot of good progression. He's up to a 72 overall. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on our opening day bullpen. Don't know if Luis Perales is going to be there with him just because his progression wasn't as good. Blake Burkhalter was another guy I traded for, only a C potential on him, but good progression to the per nines. Oh, and you know what? I guess this is what must have happened, because Brandon Eisert and Bryce Wilson were both on the major league squad. So maybe the game had to get back down to 26 players and they just made some auto decisions. But I guess we got a couple more guys to look through, because Brandon Eisert, he was in our bullpen all year. And he was doing better than this for the most part, and then kind of fell off. But 73 outings, 5.42 ERA. I mean, he wasn't that bad. Even the WAR was only slightly negative. He won't be in our bullpen next year, though. At least not to start it. Bryce Wilson, on the other hand, I don't know, because his overall is the lowest, but he actually pitched pretty decently. He actually, I mean, I feel like I've been saying this all the time, but he was better, and he must have fell off near the end. But still, a 3.71 ERA is not bad. But I don't know. I don't know if I would feel the need to force him to be on our big league squad when it feels like we have a lot better options. He did finish with a positive WAR, though. There's not really a ton to talk about here at the AA level. I mean, Kyle Carr was somebody we traded for who had some really nice progression, but you know, he's still a long ways away. We got a couple of relievers though too. Juan Carrella, +9 to his hits per 9 is huge. He's only 23. He's up to a 66 overall. He wouldn't be ready to go for next year's bullpen, but he's definitely in the mix for the future. Same with Wickelman Gonzalez at a 66, C potential, same deal. And then kind of the same thing, AA right now. We don't really have a ton going on. Not any big name prospects on our AA squad, but there's a couple interesting things like DJ Gladney, +10, +7 to his numbers against lefties. And he's young. He's only 23, C potential, long way to go to get there. He could actually turn into a platoon bat. Like 53-64 against lefties, or 57-64 is not bad right now, and it's going to keep getting better. Yeah, I guess there's really not anything else to talk about here in Double-A. I mean, Jacob Gonzalez had a good Double-A year, but he's still a long ways away from being anything. So I think that's all that I really felt like I wanted to talk about. So we can sim to the end of this first season. Actually, you know what? Yeah, our Double-A squad still has a playoff series they're playing right now. I don't know if this is the championship, but I'm gonna sit on this screen to sim these two games. I'm not gonna get into them, but we do have critical situations set up. So if these criteria are met, maybe we will get some action in today's episode. And we do. Okay. Tied 4-4 in the 7th inning. You got to get out of a bases loaded jam. Let's see some Double-A action. Andrew Dahlquist. Let's see if he can get out of this, though. Oh, we should get there, although we broke the wrong way. No, we're good. Leaving it tied. All right, well, let's see then. We're going to return to simulating. Do we get a chance to play anymore? We do. We're back on the mound, though. It's Juan Carrella. That's a guy I highlighted. So this will be interesting. Let's see what he's got. 91-96 on the fastball. And we should be able to make this play, right? Redo. All right, keeping it tied again. And we get a chance at the plate. We've given up 2 runs, though. We have 1 out. Paulino Santana's up. This was a dude I traded for. Come on, man. Let's come through here. I haven't hit at all today, so this should be interesting. That'll do it. That'll be a base. I mean, that won't do it, but that's a good swing. That puts the winning run on first base, actually. Ball in the gap wins it. Ball in the gap ends it. Another hit like that probably ties it. And that should have been a pitch where that happened. We got 25 clutch on this guy, though. No wonder I missed that. And he might have just grounded into a double play to end it. That actually might end the series because, yeah. I think it was only a 3-game series, and we were 0-1 and we lost, so that'll do it. But hey, you know what? Paulino Santana is somebody that I'm looking forward to the future. Ryan Galaney's not. I got a hit with Paulino. That's all I care about. All right, well, let's then pay attention to the postseason. And I want to go, yeah, let's go over to a team that's actually in it just to see it as it's happening live. Cleveland versus the Royals. Let's see what happens here. Who won? Royals took game 1, or no, Cleveland took game 1 because we're on Cleveland. So game 2 also goes to Cleveland. The Royals are eliminated, and the Cubs have eliminated the Braves. The Braves were the #1 ranked team too. Let's go to this Orioles-Rangers series. Orioles took game 1. Game 2, it's tied. Over on the other side, though, the Reds finished the 2-game sweep over the Nationals, so it's Reds-Phillies, Cubs-Dodgers. So this is the last wild card series to be decided, and the Rangers took it with a losing record. The 80-82 Rangers. I actually didn't realize I can just hit square instead of backing out to this screen. The 80-82 Rangers are advancing in the postseason. So we've got a Central matchup and a West matchup. That's what's left in the AL. And then we've got Central versus West and Central versus East. This is a Central dominated postseason bracket right now. Let's look through the eyes of the Cubs here, though. Cubs versus Dodgers. You got a Ben Brown versus Shohei Ohtani matchup. Which way does this one lean? Apparently towards Ben Brown. Oh, wait a second. No, the Dodgers won. What am I even saying? Why am I getting confused? This is the second time I've been confused by that. The Dodgers won. It went Shohei's way. All right, so then game 2 for the Cubs and the Dodgers. That one, the Cubs win. That one goes the Cubs' way. So we have Cleveland taking game 1 over the Twins. Rangers winning another game over the Mariners, and the other NLDS is tied at 1, just like this one that we're looking at here. So let's keep going with the well, actually, I guess I just simmed this day in between. That would have had more AL matchups. We're all tied. Every series tied at 1. Let's sim these next 2 games. Dodgers Cubs. Dodgers win game 2, so this could end it, and it does. The Dodgers eliminate the Cubs. Reds also eliminate the Phillies, so it's Dodgers Reds. Real life, that was a wild card matchup. In this, it's the NLCS. I want to look through the eyes of the Rangers, though. Lost 2 after taking game 1 of the series. So they got to avoid elimination here. They don't. Our Cinderella story ends. And the Twins beat Cleveland So every series went from being tied at 1 to ending 3-1. So we got Twins, Mariners, Dodgers, Reds. Think I'd be rooting for a Mariners Reds matchup here. So let's go to the Reds here. Let's go to this matchup for them against the Dodgers. Game 1, the Reds win. Reds were good. If I remember right, most of the year the Reds were like the best record team. Obviously they didn't maintain that, but I would be so down to see them take down the Dodgers. Game 2, they also win. Mariners took game 1 over the Twins. Game 2 of that, I should have gone to it, but the Twins tied it. I don't want to see a division rival in the World Series. Dodgers Reds game 3, the Reds lose that one. Game 4 is going to go to the Reds. They have a 3-1 lead over the Dodgers. Mariners also took game 3 in that series, but let's see if this one ends here, if the Reds can win it. And they do. The Cincinnati Reds are going to the World Series. Who did I trade to them? Because I made a trade with them. I also made a trade with the Dodgers. I also made a trade with the Mariners. The Twins are the only team I avoided so far that I didn't make a trade with. I think it was Karinchak. I think that's who I gave to the Reds, and he's not even on their postseason roster. Okay. I'm not surprised. He was bad. All right, well, then the Mariners are up 3-1 on the Twins. They can end it here, too, and they don't. The Twins bring it back to Minnesota. We got a Luis Castillo versus Joe Ryan matchup in Game 6, and it's going to Game 7. Come on, Mariners, don't blow it. They didn't blow it. It's Mariners Reds, just like I wanted. I think it was Ref Snyder that I traded to the Mariners. He is on their postseason roster. It looks like 0 for 5 though. He's not starting. So all right, Mariners Reds World Series. Is anybody outside of Mariners fans, Reds fans, and baseball diehard fans watching this one? I don't know, but let's see. Game 1, George Kirby, Hunter Green, and it goes to the Mariners. Game 2 in Cincinnati. Actually, I wonder how that works. Maybe it just goes by record and not seed, because the Reds were the 3 seed, right? Mariners were 2. Let's see, though. Game 2 in Cincinnati. It's split now. Big win for the Reds. Moving into Seattle for Game 3, and Mariners take it. Mariners could sweep at home to wrap the series up. Game 2, they don't though. 2-2 series tie, and both the Mariners losses have been big. So all right, tiebreaker here. It's gonna be going back to Cincinnati no matter what, and it'll be going back to Cincinnati with the Reds only needing 1 win. I'm gonna simulate from this screen just because I know if I did the other one it would have switched to the next month and I wouldn't have been able to see. So let's simulate from here. Game 6, Reds have a chance to end it, and they don't. The Mariners take Game 6. It's going to be going to Game 7 just like real life with a different matchup, obviously. So this is it. The Mariners are sending out Luis Castillo with a 24.75 ERA. Really? That's who you want to send out for Game 7? That's who you're starting against a 4-0, 2.10 ERA Nick Lodolo? Let's do it. Let's sim from here again. Game 7 goes to the Mariners. A 7-4 victory. They put up 6 runs in the first 2 innings. The complete opposite of what it seemed like it was going to be. They got to Nick Lodolo and... okay, never mind. It was just different starters. It was actually Andrew Abbott that started. So the Mariners did it. They were so close to making the World Series in the real life season, but for us, they did, and they won it. But that's where we're going to go ahead and call this episode here. We will officially move into the off season next episode. One last thing that I wanted to talk about at the end of this one, and I wanted to save it for the end because probably the only people that care are the only people watching to the end. But obviously, we are running out of time before next year's game comes out to really play out this franchise how I wanted to, and that was ruined, months ago with me being inconsistent with this series. But at this point, we probably only have like 2-ish months, 8 or so weeks until the next game comes out. But what I really want to do is I really want to at least play next season the way that I initially intended to, which means playing a lot of 9-inning games, probably playing 2-ish games a month. I don't know. I had a cadence for what games I wanted to play, and obviously I never got to that because it took me so long to get past season 1. But that's the plan for season 2. I still want to play it the way that I initially wanted to play it, which means a lot of playing games, which means we won't be seeing the progression. You know what I mean? Like next season, we're probably not going to be ready to compete. But a lot of it is because I kind of just want, like, I've never been good at making franchise videos. So I at least want to play next season the way that I initially wanted to. if for nothing else but as like a practice run, just in case I want to do franchise again next year, which I don't know if I will with how bad it always goes. But I feel like every time I've tried to make franchise stuff, it just doesn't go well, and then I end up changing how I want to do it. So I at least want to play a season the way that I initially planned on playing it, which I know I've said so many times now, but that's the plan. And then after that, which hopefully there's an after that, because in order to finish the second season the way that I want to, I'll probably have to step up the consistency of this series even more than I have these last couple of weeks. Probably have to play like 2 episodes a week at least. But after next season, we'll probably move to primarily simulating, mostly simulating, all simulating. Basically, we'll probably play like a season per video and just try and get as far into the future as we can, because I do want to see how a lot of these guys develop. A lot of my trades, draft picks, I want to see how they pan out. So yeah, that's the plan. Next season we'll be seeing a lot of gameplay just because it's January and it doesn't matter, and I just want to get videos up, you know. I just want to do what I want to do. But then as long as things go the way I want them to go, we'll also be able to simulate far into the future. And we'll be able to do it in a way that we still have control over the team. So I'm still building the team, making roster moves, all that sorts of stuff, instead of just turning everything to auto and simulating, you know, a year in 5 minutes just to see how far we can get and see what players turn into. So that is then all I have to say for this episode, besides thank you guys for watching, because I honestly wouldn't blame you if you weren't. I mean, this series, this season, when we were supposed to be playing multiple years of this franchise mode, this season started in July, and we didn't find out the World Series winner until now January of the next year. I don't know. I don't need to dwell on that. I'm just rambling now. But yes, thank you guys for watching. We're going to be continuing this. I'm definitely excited to play more games next season, see some of these guys in action. Hopefully, maybe we compete. I'm not ruling it out.